Okay, go ahead.
So Sheikh, I was going to ask you that. So you say there's a grave, right?
Yes.
You're actually facing the grave, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Can you actually raise your hand and say, oh Allah, have mercy on the person in the grave? But you're actually facing the grave while making this dua.
You can.
What is the correct etiquette of making dua for the deceased while you're at the graveside?
It is not conditional to take the direction of Qibla while you're making dua. It is not conditional. Although it's much better. Because the Prophet, whenever he wants to supplicate, he used to be taking the direction of Qibla. Okay? Yeah, just hold on a second, please. So in this case, there's nothing wrong. Unless you believe that it's more holy or it has something to do to the grave by taking the direction of supplication to him.
You're facing the grave now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're facing the grave, in dua, for instance, oh Allah have mercy for the deceased person in the grave. You're raising your hands and there's a grave in front of you, but you're making dua to Allah. Is this still from the correct etiquette?
It's okay. It is okay. There's nothing wrong. And you're repeating the question. Unless you have a certain belief, okay, that makes you take the direction of the grave precisely. Other than that, there's no problem. To any direction. Even if the direction of the grave is included.
And in regards to the graves,
In regards to the grave.
Yeah, I know we're not allowed to cement the graves because we've been told that from the prophetic tradition, right? But you know, like you say, a person gets very emotional and he puts his body over the grave and he starts wailing, yeah? Or like, for instance, oh, I wish you were still in this dunya, or something to that effect. What do we say about that person? Or what, you know?
We say first the person of the grave may be tortured by the angels because of that. Because if he wrote wasiyah that that would have not been done. So it seems that this is taqsir, shortness from him.
Because some people use
I'm not finished. You're so rushed. But that's why the Prophet said, إن الميت ليعذب ببكاء أهله عليه. The dead is being tortured by the angels for the wailing of his family on him. Okay. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu, while he was dying, he heard someone yelling, and despite he was suffering the agonies of death, he immediately said, "Oh Allah, I free myself from al-haliqa was-saliqa wal-dariba," I think. Yani, I free myself, O Allah, from the one who hit herself, the one who grab her hair, the one who shout and yell. Oh Allah, I free myself to you from those kinds of people. Okay, so if a person wrote in his wasiyah that no one should be wailing on me because what the Prophet said, then he will not be harmed by any wailing or shouting. Now you can answer if you ask if you want.
Yeah. And the reason why I sort of asked that question, I've heard in some speeches that Bilal radiallahu anhu, when he was away from
fabricated.
Okay, yeah.
Fabricated. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani said in Fath al-Bari, Bayyinatul wada'. It's so clearly fabricated. Al-Dhahabi said the same thing. Okay? I know the whole issue, I know the whole story, that he came to Medina and he make adhan, and people started to say that the Prophet come back to life and he was wailing and he threw himself on the grave. All of these details of this hadith are fabricated. Nothing had been, it's not authentic. Al-Shawkani criticized it, Al-Dhahabi criticized it, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani criticized it, so it's fabricated. Yeah.
Sheikh, how do we reconcile between the two reports? One's in the Quran, one is from the Sunnah. In the Quran it says, I don't know which surah it is, but it says that you cannot make the dead to hear. But in one of the riwayas in the hadith it says that you know, when the person is placed in the grave, you should make dua for him, because at this point he's been questioned, and at that point he gets asked the 3 questions. How do you reconcile between what it says in the Quran and what it says in the Hadith?
The hadith doesn't say that the dead can hear.
No, in the Quran it says you cannot make the dead.
Number one, the ayah talked about those who have dead senses, those who hear but they don't hear, they see but they don't see. They are just like the dead, and this is an evidence for us, because Allah is giving the example is taking the example from those dead people who do not hear. He's using their condition as an example for those kuffar who have senses but they don't use it. Did you understand that?
Yeah. Someone booked on
Yes. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّكَ لَا تُسْمِعُ الْمَوْتَى. Okay? But also in another ayah, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُسْمِعُ مَن يَشَاءُ وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُسْمِعٍ مَا فِي الْقُبُورِ. Allah enabled any whom he decide to be able to hear, just like what he did to Abu Jahl and the other Tawaghit of Mecca, Quraysh. He made them hear. When they died, the Prophet was saying to them, you deported me and people welcomed me. You forsought me and people sheltered me, etc., etc. You charged me of lie and people believed me. So Umar was saying to him, O Prophet, do you speak to dead bodies that have no more spirits in them? He said, O Umar, you are not closer in hearing me than them. Now they are hearing me. Now. Qatada said in Sahih al-Bukhari, Asma'ahum Allahu, Allah made them hear tabkitan wa taqri'an wa hasratan wa nadama, as a matter of reproachment, criticism, causing them more regret and more sorrow by hearing the blaming of the Prophet ﷺ. So who enabled them? And it is stupid enough to use this as an evidence, okay? Because Allah enabled the kuffar to hear not as a karama, but to blame them. And what Umar said, it proves that usually people don't hear. The Prophet didn't say to Umar, oh, you're wrong. No. He said, now they are hearing me, now. Which means this is an exceptional case for those people. Otherwise, the Prophet did not say to Umar, you're wrong, the dead people can hear. No. So this is an evidence for us, not for them.
About raising the hands, Sultan asked you, is it a norm, raising the hands at the Qubur? Is it the norm to raise the hands at the graveyard or above a grave in the past? Is there any evidence that anybody or any of
the Prophet was asking the companions to make dua for the dead person?
No, but I mean by raising
supplicate?
The hands. No, by raising the hands.
No, there's nothing precisely as to raise the hands, but supplication,
Yes.
because usually when you say supplication, that means normally, because this is an open and normal thing, that supplication is with raising hands. Okay? Otherwise, what is exceptional from that is to make dua without raising the hands. Where is that? In Friday. In Friday khutbah, neither the khatib nor the people are allowed to raise their hands. Other than that, usually any supplication, okay, it consists what with it? Raising the hands. Yes.
No, the reason I just had this question was that, isn't it that if a few people did that by raising their hands, knowing that they were probably on the right aqidah, but people who came after them, whether it's the youth or they, oh yeah, our fathers used to raise hands on the graves, so probably they were grave worshippers. Could we come to that situation?
I don't know. I can't answer this, Sheikh, because this is based on the environment. If people are known to be on the Sunnah, but they are surrounded by people of bid'ah who may take it, okay, as an evidence, then no. They take it as an evidence that you can make dua to the people of the grave, to the, okay. But as long as there's no problem like this, that's why the Prophet ﷺ before, when the common misconception was to speak to the dead, the Prophet did not allow the visiting of the grave. When the doctrine of the creed of the companions was corrected, then the Prophet said, I used to prohibit you from visiting the graves, now you can do, for it reminds you of the hereafter. Okay, brother?
A few more, Sheikh.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we're still on graves, Sheikh, right? I think you mentioned just a little while ago that Aisha radiallahu anha used to visit her brother's grave. And is that proof to say that women can visit graves as well?
طبعا. Yes. But not to be zawarat. There's a difference between zawarat and zairat. If they visit occasionally, you know, because the benefit from visiting the grave is for all mankind, not only for men apart from women. Yeah, but if she becomes zawara, that means regularly, regularly make it a ritual, or making it an orderly kind of visit. Now she deserves the curse.
And you know, Sheikh, you know, from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, we find that Prophet ﷺ on one occasion was going past the grave, and he mentioned words to the effect that these people are being punished in the grave, not for something major, but they used to like let urine go on.
Then he said. Then afterwards he said, yes, it is important issue.
Yes.
He said it's major.
But on that instant, I think he put a flower or some sort of tree-like structure or plant or something inside the grave. Number one is what happened in that instant, and you know, for instance, if some people take that literally, if they go and put, for instance, a plant or something like that in somebody's grave, what's the halat of that? What's the situation? Is it bid'ah? Is it haram? Or some more commentary on that shit?
It's bid'ah. Because this is considered, it is to be connected with the subject of the Prophet's miracles. It is considered to be one of the Prophet's miracles. Okay? There is nothing called greens that remember Allah, because everything remember Allah, even the wood. وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا يُسَبِّحُ بِحَمْدِهِ. There's nothing in the world but say subhanallah, praise Allah's remembrance. Okay? So this is an answer to those who think that this part or this type of green or flower, it has something special to do because it remembers Allah. Everything remembers Allah. Okay, number one. Number two, the companions' understanding. Okay, we have to look if we differ. How did the companions deal with it? Did they do it after him? The answer is no. So why the companions didn't do it? Unless they understood that it is something that is connected to the miracles of the Prophet ﷺ, which is the case. Yes.
Sheikh, you see, just on that plants thing, you say there's a grave, right? But over time, a lot of plantation has grown over it. Can you remove that plantation just so you still know that there's a grave still exists there?
Sure, because there's a need for the grave to be known, so no one will be stepping upon it. Sure, there's a demand for that. Yes.
And you say, Sheikh, you know where the grave is. I mean, you know, when you're actually putting a body in a grave, the amount of earth that you take out, yeah, that's that amount of earth is only what you're allowed to put back in. Am I right in saying that?
Soil, Sheikh. Soil. He's on about the soil. You know when you dig up a grave? The amount of soil that you dig out, is that the only soil that should go in without any extra going on top?
You're talking about when you bury the
deceased.
Yes. So do you, are you asking if I use the same dust, or I can bring something additional from outside?
I think additional.
Yeah, additional if there's a need.
If there's a need, because you're allowed to raise the grave just like that.
Camel's hump.
Yeah, just like that. So it will be recognized that there's a grave here.
And Sheikh, you know, from
so the dust from the internal place is not enough. You can add more from any other place. Any kind of dust in order to build the grave and to build over it just like this size only.
Take care for Brady's grave if it's too high.
Sheikh, also, is, you know, like in today's time, we clearly have graves clearly marked. You know, not just saying something small like a brick, but something more than that. And it's like a sign that there's a grave there, but also on there it says like, this is this so and so person's grave. He's from so and so place, and he was born this date, died that date. Apart from maybe something the size of a brick, if somebody's putting something up there, is this jais? Is this what does the Sharia say about this?
To put something over the grave to let it be known, identified from other people, this basically is accepted, because the companions used to be making a sign. They used to be making a sign, a can, anything that can be distinguishing this person, that this is his grave. Okay, so this is understood, and inshallah it's accepted. But to write Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, ya ayyatuhan nafs al-mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbika radiyatan mardiyya, etc. No, this is not Allah, this is haram. Anything makes the person significant, because the intention, or the goal of the Sharia is not to make any person distinguished in his grave. Okay, lest his grave be worshipped. But other than that, for example, you put any kind of sign, rock, something for for the deceased person, there's nothing wrong with that. Just to write his name, for example, inshallah, I hope there's nothing wrong with that. But to add something else, no.
Sheikh, I heard a statement from some people from like Pakistan, India, whereby they said something. I don't know where it's derived from. I don't know where it comes from. It might just be one of their saying. They say that if there's a qabr in one place, after 100 years, you can build another qabr on top of it. What does Islam say about this? Does this have any foundation?
If there's a space in the grave, even if next year you put someone over the body, if there's a space, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. To add someone to the grave of that particular person, there's nothing wrong with it, as long as the whole fits for that. Yeah.
And Sheikh, going on to the Prophet ﷺ now. You know, it says in some of the riwayat that that the bodies of the Anbiya will not be eaten by the earth, or words to that effect. We know this, and also that the Prophet ﷺ said, send salam upon me, wherever you are, and the Malaika will convey it to me. We know that, so we send salawat and salam upon the Prophet ﷺ, because we've been told that, right? But some people have claimed that there's a riwayah which goes to the effect that the Prophet ﷺ, it says in a riwayah that the Prophet ﷺ is alive in his grave, and if this riwayah is, for instance, sahih, how is it to be understood? And what do you say about those people who, for instance, go to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, not from far away, but go to the grave side and say, use this proof that the Prophet ﷺ is alive in his grave, and they ask the Prophet ﷺ to ask Allah.
So if the Prophet is alive, let's see when he was alive. When he was alive, if somebody spoke to him from here to Medina, was he able to hear him? Yes or no?
No.
No?
I mean, if the
Wait, just be with me. Step by step. No, I'm not going to let you lose the point. The question is, again, when he was alive, and let's say you're here now.
Yes.
Usually, if you call him while he was alive in Medina, was he able to hear your voice?
Yes.
Was he?
If he's nearby, I'm sure he could hear you.
No, if you were here.
If you were here.
If you were here,
Oh,
in Medina.
no, he can't hear you.
he can't hear
He's not
you.
all hearing. It's not like Allah.
Unless Allah allows.
Yes.
But usually he's not allowed. Usually, without Allah's interference, he can't. Because we have to remind you that the Prophet was alive and his wife was forgotten in the desert, and she did not call him. She didn't say, well, anyway, Allah may grant his Prophet miracle and he can hear me. She didn't say that. Okay? And when he died, she stayed in her house something like how many years? 40 years maybe? After his death? Let's say 40 years, right? There's no narration ever that is to say that the Prophet ﷺ, spoke to her from his grave. That she said, for example, I heard the Prophet in his grave saying to me this and this and that and that. Did she?
No. Not come across any reports.
Very good. So how can those people believe that after he died, his senses became like Superman senses? He can hear everybody, despite the variety of their locations, their languages, etc., etc. When he was alive, no one occurred to him that I'll speak to the Prophet and inshallah, by the will of Allah, Allah will enable his Prophet to hear me. Did they? Did they depend on a miracle?
When the Prophet ﷺ was alive?
Yes. Did any one of them said, I'll speak to the Prophet from far?
No.
And bi'idhnillah, Allah will let him hear me. Did anyone say that?
No.
You're saying no, huh? While he was alive or after he died?
No, while he was in his grave, the Prophet ﷺ,
No. I'm saying when he was alive. You have no doubt that when he was alive, he was not able to hear from remote places.
No, he was, unless Allah gave him that.
Did Allah give him that? Did Allah give him that?
Well, the wahi was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, but I don't know specifically what you're saying.
Okay. By the revelation wahi. Now there's no more wahi. So how can the Prophet depend on wahi while he's dead?
The wahi is stopped now.
Very good. That means the Prophet doesn't know anything now. No more revelation. Okay. And believing that the Prophet can hear because he is alive, we have Isa is alive until now, and he said to Allah, I was witness over them as long as I was with them, but when you took me to you, okay, then you are the witness over them. He didn't say I'm still the witness. Okay, so therefore we say, as a result, it's false to claim that you can hear the Prophet and your evidence is that etc. It's not allowed. Why Allah did not honor the Prophet to hear Aisha radiallahu anha after he died, or to save her from being alone in the desert? Why didn't he use the capacity he has?
Mm.
Clear?
जी, you know.
Because if you say he heard Aisha, but he did not reply to her,
Mm.
you'll be attacking his. This is violence against his honor.
Mm-hmm.
Because an honorable person, if he knows that his wife now is in the desert, he will not be ignoring her until she comes to Medina. He'll be rushing to her to save her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So why the Prophet did not hear her? The Prophet did not hear her. Sorry, she did not call in order to hear her. She even did not make any call.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sheikh, there's a riwayah. I think it's weak as far as I know, but it goes to the fact that there was a Sahabi and he either was hungry or he had a need, and he fell upon the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, and he says, oh, to the words to the
Al-ju' al-ju'.
Mm.
Then he found half of the piece of bread in his hand when he woke up.
Mm.
That is a lie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not been proven. It's mawdu' makdhoob.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And going back to a thing I said before this, the last question was that, you know, the riwayah that says that the Prophet ﷺ is alive in his grave. What shara can you give on that? Do we take that literally? I mean, do some people do you take that literally? Do you say that okay, he's alive but not in the way we're alive? Is he in barzakh? Or what did the early ulama say about this?
About
The riwayah that says that the Prophet ﷺ is alive in his grave.
he is. It's authentic.
Mm-hmm. But how
Yeah.
do you understand that? What commentary can you?
I was saying, Isa is alive now, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's a prophet.
Mm.
He said, when you took me to you,
Mm-hmm.
you became the only witness on them.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't include himself, although he knows that at that time he was alive. Jesus did not die. Jesus will come down to life here, and he will die.
Mm.
So let's say that was my answer. Let's say he is alive now. How did the companions deal with his lifetime? Did they speak to him from far, from distant, from remote places?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Did they speak to him?
No.
That means there's no communication between the living and the dead. There's no communication. Otherwise, Aisha would have taken advantage of that, and she would be speaking to the Prophet in her grave. His grave is in her house, and she kept living, sleeping, sitting, sleeping, sitting inside the house, in this just inches away from the Prophet's grave.
Mm.
So why didn't they make any claim that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Allah enabled his Prophet to speak to Aisha? At least if the Prophet can hear, okay, he'll be hearing the speech of his wives. None of them spoke to him based on this belief that he can hear. Why?
Mm.
Yes.
So, is my understanding right that when we say the Prophet is alive, he's not alive in the same way we are alive, like me and you?
طبعا.
And basically, that is the zone of, or the ilmi barzakh class where he is now as barzakh.
He is alive. He prays in his grave. He prayed to Allah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He's not only alive.
Mm-hmm.
But the Prophet will be saying at the Day of Judgment, when he sees his ummah, come to my Kawthar. And many of them will be backed. Get back.
Mm-hmm.
And the Prophet will be saying, oh, that's my nation, that's my ummah, that's my ashab. And it will be said to them, you do not know what have they done after you left them. You don't know. So how come the Prophet, being alive in his grave, following each one, hearing the one who called him,
Mm-hmm.
okay? How come the Prophet, he has this with us, and we have this hadith in Sahih Bukhari that the angels will be saying to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you don't know. what they have done after you. They changed after you. So that means the Prophet was not aware of what's happening. Yes.
Yeah. Sheikh, you know the verse in the Quran, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ
عند ربهم
يرزقون.
يرزقون ولا يرزقون؟ ها؟
I think it's in Surah Al-Imran.
يا أخي يرزقون ولا يرزقون؟
Think not of those killed in the path of Allah as dead. Nay, they are alive.
Yeah,
They are with the Lord and they have provision.
يا أخي يرزقون or يرزقون. Allah said بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون.
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 Now, how do you pronounce it?
I'm asking you.
يرزقون.
يرزقون ولا يرزقون?
Whichever one is correct.
If you say يرزقون, it's wrong. That يرزقون means they are providing us. يرزقون, they are being provided by Allah. So which one is more correct?
The second one.
The second one. Okay.
Now some people.
No, wait. أحياء عند ربهم, they are alive for their Lord, right?
Yeah. Go next.
Huh?
Yeah. Give me the question.
Alive for their Lord, right? With their Lord or with us?
With the Lord.
خلاص, that means they can't hear us. Because while they were alive, they were not able to hear from a remote. How come now the distance between us and them is the distance between the earth and the heavens? Then they can hear us. Isa said, when you took me up to you, now you were the only witness against them. And we know that Isa did not die. He's still alive up. So can we speak to Isa and tell him, oh Isa, we need this, give us, because he's alive. Number two, they are yurzaqun. And some people ask the dead for the better of his what do you call that? Provision and support. Provision and support. They ask them apart from Allah. While they are alive, the Prophet is alive. Why? To be honored. Yurzaqun. He is being provided. He is not a provider. That's why we can contradict those when they say to us, Allah said, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ يُرْزَقُونَ. They do not recognize the last word, يُرْزَقُونَ. They are provided by Allah. How do you ask them to provide you while they are provided, as Allah said? They are provided, يُرْزَقُونَ. How do you ask something from them while Allah is telling you that they are provided by Allah? So go to the one who's providing them, because they are provided. They are not providers. You can go now. Yes.
Should we get moving?
Yeah.
Yalla.
No, I'm saying you can go with another question, unless
Okay,
you have no
we'll
more.
ask the
No,
question.
Sheikh's gonna.
Oh, Sheikh, barakallahu feekum. حياك الله والسلام.
طيب. Alhamdulillah.
Safla.
Alaikum salam to Allah. So you're gonna bring me my things?
Yeah, I'll bring you things inshallah. I'll probably be coming back later on tonight.
Okay.
Inshallah.
So there is no more after Isha any lecture or gathering?
Not from what I know, but if these lot want to do something, Abu Dhayfa, if you want to ask the brothers.
It's a bit late, isn't it? Really?
That's yeah.
It's no point just kind of wasting.
Okay.
Sheikh's
Okay.
about 4 or 5 brothers coming. But if you want to get together anyway,